Hey, how's it going, everybody? This is Shane from the Realm of Unknown, and today we have a weird episode to upload for you guys. I'll be 100% honest, scheduling just was not in my favor for the past week or so, at least at the time of recording this. A few episodes have not been uploaded. This is because work has been absolutely insane, and life has been progressing well, things have been good, it's just super busy. I'm sure you guys are familiar with that. And just a lot of stuff is going on. But I do still want to get a bunch of content out still for you guys. So for today, I am going to sort of unveil the very first compilation of the Weird of the Week series that is over on the Patreon, which is any level you can do so over there, $1, $3, or $5 tiers. But it is a weekly upload after every normal episode that dives into a bizarre or weird news article that I stumble across that week. So this will be the first few episodes of that. At that time, I don't think we were calling it Weird of the Week, but it's the same series nonetheless. And I hope you guys do enjoy. I think it's going to be about 5 episodes compiled in together, but right now there are probably a dozen or so that you can go check out, probably more, if you want to check out the rest of them on the Patreon. Otherwise, though, I hope you guys have a good time. Hope you enjoy, and I hope to see you guys next week in the next installment of the Realm of Unknown. Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to the very first installment of the sort of post episode sort of bonus segment here for the Patreon. If you're listening to this and you are on the Patreon and you're unaware of what's going on, moving forward, I'm going to be recording a short little segment of news or just weird stories that I come across here on the Patreon after every upload of an episode. So once an episode goes live, expect a bonus segment to be also published on the Patreon. I'm going to be trying to do this every week so that we'll provide, a bonus segment here and there at least 4 times a month, as well as the bonus episodes or bonus shows, I should say, that I'm sort of trying to develop for the Patreon itself. In the meantime, though, this is a really good way for me to kind of talk about weird stuff that I come across in the news and everything. So I'm debating calling this Weird of the Week, which, upon further inspection, has been done, but I kind of like it. So I'm going to be calling it Weird of the Week because that's what it is. And if you want to call it that or not, feel free to. Maybe I'll run a poll to see what everyone's thoughts are. But today we have a sort of weird but short but interesting one. And this actually comes from, I actually found this on TikTok first. This actually came from like a week or two ago. And yeah, about 2 weeks ago. And this comes from Australia, more specifically, a Australian TV viewer actually witnessed something on ABC News down there that caught their attention. They posted it online, and it kind of went viral. And this is a 2-second segment of their news coverage for the day that suddenly cut out and then was directed to this weird, bizarre scene of like some dudes in robes and upside down cross. And it's only there for 2 seconds, and for those 2 seconds, all you hear are the words "Hail Satan," like echoing in this like amphitheater room type thing. And then it cuts back immediately to the newscaster, who let me see if I can pull up her name real quick. Oh my god, I'm not gonna pronounce that. Yvonne Young, who again was for ABC News, and she pretty much like went right back into the story. Like it was literally 2 seconds there, and then acted like it never happened. So obviously people are weird. People are freaked out by this. I believe this was a segment when this sort of thing cut out. They were doing a segment on police dogs when this sort of segment of footage snapped into the coverage. It was during the moment in which, if you're ever watching a news segment and it ends and they say, like, back to you at the desk or back to you at the station or whatever, and then like that short period of time, it kind of lingers for a moment and then it fades and cuts back. During that lingering phase is when this cut in. And again, it was like 2 seconds long. It made like really no sense whatsoever, and it freaked a lot of people out. Um, Upon further inspection of it, it shows it very much looks like a studio. There's a camera set up. Obviously, it was recorded somehow. There's a woman sitting in front with a piano keyboard, and there's another individual who's dressed in a sort of gothic robe. The robed individual is the one who says "Hail Satan," and again, there's like an illuminated upside down cross that's hanging behind them during this like ceremony thing. Um, it's very weird. Actually, there's a third person, like standing in between them. Um, but there's like a little table with like a little altar. It's very like stereotypical, but it's just very weird for it to just pop on in like the middle of the night or whatever. Or no, it was like yeah, it was in the middle of the night. It was 21:11. So that's oh god. So it's like a little after 9 o'clock is when this sort of just kicked on for them at the middle of the night. And it went viral. Like I said, it went viral on social media. From what I can tell, it went viral on TikTok. Maybe on Twitter a little bit, but I don't recall seeing this online. But yeah, that went crazy. From what people can sort of piece together, they found it very very odd that the host was being very stoic in that moment and like didn't mention it or pay any mind to it. From what I can understand, a lot of that was probably pre-recorded and was not a live coverage. So someone either messed up, the connection got weird, or some intern fucking like purposely edited that into like the end segment of a clip. And then because it was a pre-recorded thing, the newscaster didn't react. That's from what I can understand. At this moment, though, you might be wondering, it's like, oh, okay, well, who's to fault for this? What's going on? I don't know. Like, I genuinely do not know who these people were, what this was going on for, who did it, like what was the actual reasoning for this, why did this happen? We don't know. Like Huffington Post, New York Times, all that stuff. Like I'm looking into it. I tried to figure it out for this coverage. I can't find it. My luck, however, it's probably gonna pop up like the day I post this. But at the time of recording this, like I don't know who actually is to blame for this. Clearly, though, it wasn't like some actual sacrificial ritual. It wasn't anything like bloody or dark or like evil in any way. It looked very much like a staged like thing. It's very like local broadband type quality recording. And honestly, it's probably from something else. Chances are. I just found it very weird. This sometimes happens from time to time. I do remember I want to say like in the early 2000s, there was something similar that happened here in the U.S. I'll have to find that and see if I can find it for you guys. But this happens. I just thought it was really weird and interesting, and I kind of wanted to talk about it. But yeah, that will be the first coverage. I don't really have too much more for the story. And moving forward, I will be finding some weird stuff. But if you guys have anything, like if you come across some weird stories that you want me to talk about, or like super bizarre news stuff that happens, please, 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 please email me, message me, comment here. I don't care. let me know. Like, I really, really want to know weird stuff that's going on. I love it. I love it so much. I want to talk about it. I want to look into it. So if you have any like weird stuff that's happening, even if it's like local stuff, please feel free to send it my way. I will go over it. Like, I will at the very least be sitting up reading about it that night. Like, I will read it. Um, so if you ever have any of that, send it my way. But this is the first little segment of Weird of the Week, and I'm looking forward to making a lot more for you guys. Until then, though, thank you so much for the support here on the Patreon. You guys are amazing, and I'm genuinely surprised that I could actually make this, even if it's small. Like, to make this a somewhat of a possibility and have people willing to support it is just fantastic. Like, you guys are incredible. Um, but enough lovey-dovey stuff. I hope you guys are having a good one, and I hope to see you guys next week when we go over another strange episode. Well, hello and welcome everybody, and this is the second episode. If you guys are following along with things that are going on, of the bonus series here on the Patreon, called, Weird of the Week, whatever. I'm not really sure 100% yet still on what I want to call it, but Weird of the Week is pretty safe to say. And we have a few articles to talk about and things to discuss. Once more, I'm finding them from unexplainedmysteries.com, a great website if you guys want to find any like weird or bizarre stories that pop up. They have them categorized, in like aliens, ghosts, conspiracies, all that sort of stuff. Just don't go to the forums. The community is extremely toxic, so just steer clear from that. But the news article side of things is kind of nice. It essentially just compiles stuff from other news outlets, and that's where we actually find today's topic. This is actually from the 7th of September, so Tuesday, and they're talking about, this is from the conspiracy section, the sort of weird phenomenon going on in which there is a conspiracy going about on the internet that claims that the internet is fake. So yeah, you're hearing that right. And I'm gonna read, most of the article as we discuss. But pretty much the short end of it is that there is a growing number of people, primarily online, from what I can understand in some cases, that believe that the quote unquote real internet actually went offline several years ago. And I'll read some of the snippets here. It says, we've seen more than our fair share of out there conspiracy theories over the years, featuring ideas and concepts ranging from the potential feasibility to the downright absurd. This latest one, which suggests that the internet that we use on a daily basis is actually a fake created by an artificial intelligence. This is an interesting thing. There seems to be a different version of this conspiracy going down and around, this is what we're currently talking about, different version. But however, what they all have in common is the idea that the original quote unquote real internet went down several years ago. Otherwise known as the dead internet theory, the concept employs that the internet was taken down by an artificial intelligence and that all of the user-generated content that you see online today is actually created by an AI to put forward the appearance of a large number of users. I genuinely didn't even know this was a theory out there. So I'm learning it as I go with you guys, and I'm kind of shocked by this. Going on, it says, some believe that the government, I love it, the government is in quotes too, is secretly behind it all with a group of highly paid quote-unquote influencers helping to perpetuate the illusion that the internet is still buzzing with activity. The entire thing is nonsense, of course, but the conspiracy theory provides an intriguing glimpse into the human mind working as well as the bizarre ideas that actually begin. This is weird. And it goes on to say too that this has been around for a while. This isn't the first time that this theory has popped up before. As I mentioned, this is sort of the current structure of this theory. However, it doesn't seem, no one really seems to know or nail down what year this theory particularly came about or what year it's actually referring to, being, the year that this internet was supposedly taken down by an I guess, quote unquote. I don't know if this has anything to do with, Y2K or all that sort of stuff. I don't believe it would. They for the most part are pretty much two separate theories in the grand scheme of things. And I can't really see AIs fitting very well into Y2K. It very much could be. I'm not subscribed to that sort of stuff, and I don't follow too many of them too deeply because it just drains you in every in every way. That's why we don't do a whole lot of conspiracy theories on the channel, and if they are, they're fun ones, not crazy ones. But yeah, so this seems to be going on, and if I follow the logic of this, that means that I am technically a creation of an AI who is masquerading as someone talking about weird stuff online and then posting it, and then all of you guys are listening to it, but you're also a fabrication of this AI. But there are a few people out there who might know what the truth is and all that good stuff. But they're also online, so are they a part of it? It, like I said, this it has so many holes in it. It makes no sense whatsoever. It it's just nonsense. Like the easiest way to say it is nonsense, and whoever actually is creating this sort of stuff and thoroughly believing it, especially when they're online getting this information, more than likely is what they're doing. Um, it's kind of sad in a weird way, and these people probably need some help. But that's most of it for this story. It's not too super long, and it's not too in depth when it comes to what this theory is. It's pretty straightforward if you hear the title. You pretty much know what it is. I do want to mention one quick little thing that I thought was interesting that I will be sharing also in an additional post. Is that there's actually remastered footage of the Tasmanian tiger that got released recently. This was also, brought up on the 7th of September. And if you're unfamiliar with, what the Tasmanian tiger is, it's an animal that went extinct, I believe, like 80 years ago at this point. So we don't have any more around. There's none of the zoos. There were a few recordings captured during its time in a captivity, or just in a few instances. I think back in like the 30s. So it's almost been a century, which is crazy to think about. And it's been around for a little bit of time, and I believe this is the same, like, well-known footage. But it's been recently remastered, and it's now in color, and it's just really weird to see, because this is a animal that, no, like, for the most part, none of us in our lifetime have even heard of, let alone seen footage or photographs of. Like, I don't even think my grandparents were alive by the time this thing was completely wiped off the earth. Um, so it's definitely interesting, and I will be sharing that as well in an additional post for you guys to check it out because it's neat. It's a cool looking creature, and I think it's just all the more bizarre and fascinating to actually capture it in color and actually get to see what it more accurately looks like. And I hope that it can be done to other footage and other instances because that'd be super dope and super awesome to see. There's one final story that I want to talk about. This was posted on the 4th, and this is going to be a short one because I don't really put too much credence into it. I still think it's neat. Um, but there is more, stories or whatnot coming out of Loch Ness recently, and this is supposedly in relation to another sonar pickup thing that happened. I feel like we get one of these every, few months or so, every few years. But in this instance, a amateur, hunter of sorts and believer captured something and ranging from like I think it was like 3 to 4 meters in length, so like 12 to 13 feet or so. Uh, Captured it on his sonar. It was like I think it was like well, how let me see if I can find out how deep it was. I think okay, so it was 20 meters deep is where it was, but the boat was over an area that was 40 meters deep. So I don't know. Like I said, this sort of stuff pops up pretty much all the time. At this point, I put no credence into it whatsoever. It's a neat story. I definitely think it's fun. It's fun to look into. But for the people who actually believe that Loch Ness is real, that it's there, that's constantly elusive, I don't really believe it. I don't really think it's there. And I think the more that we keep throwing at it, the more that we're just gonna miss something that might actually be there, or like a phenomena with the lake that like we just don't understand yet. Because I'm pretty sure it's been determined that like there are massive eels in that lake. There are sturgeon in the lake. Like I think like a whale at one point almost I think got in there. Like there are big things there that could feasibly make that sort of reading. And most of the sightings are driftwood. I mean, the famous photo that you're familiar with, like that's been, for the most part, from what I can understand, uh, proven to be a fake and a hoax that was like completely staged. Like not by the person who took the photo, but by someone else to trick the person who took the photo. And it just got out of hand. And so, like most of this stuff is built off lies and folklore. So I can't really put too much credence into it. But that's the last little story that we have for this week and the weird of the week in general. So I hope you guys did enjoy it. If there's any, stories or anything that you want me to cover or look into for maybe next week, feel free to send it my way. I'll give them a look over. And like I said, all these stories come from Unexplained Mysteries. So feel free to check it out yourself. And if you're listening to this right now, thank you so much for supporting and enjoying, this bonus content that comes to you each week. I hope you guys have a great day. Hello, 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 everybody, and welcome back. This is another installment of the Weird of the Week series here exclusively on Patreon. And we have two interesting and kind of short stories to talk about. One being here in the United States and the other being down under in Australia. And I'm going to talk about the US one first because it's a bit actually, maybe we'll talk about the Australia one first because that one is a bit more straightforward, and the U.S. one is a bit more of a cliffhanger. So for the Australian story, this is from let me see where the actual source is from. It is from the Perth Now, and this is titled "Missing Persons," quote, "eaten by Yowie," a hunter claims. So if you're not familiar, the Yowie, which is spelled Y-O-W-I-E, This is pretty much an Australian Bigfoot. If you know what a Bigfoot looks like, or a Yeti, it's pretty much the exact same thing. It's just in Australia. I can't really find too many details in how they're different, but if you're familiar with either of those, you're familiar with what this is. So the story that we're talking about actually focuses on a Yowie hunter of sorts called Jason Heel, who has been pretty much searching the entire wilderness around Perth, which is a city in Australia, in search for evidence that could prove that, these very elusive creatures, these bipedal monsters, actually exist. He is actually the co founder of the Yowie Research Group, and he and his colleagues have collected, and I say that with air quotes, a rather large collection of, sighting reports, photographs, and audio recordings that they have collected across several national parks of the area. He is actually quoted as saying, I want to give him a southern accent, but he's not. He's quoted as saying, "I recently saw Yowies running at superhuman speeds north of Bullsbrook. I believe there is a population of Yowies still around in the outer suburbs, including Mandering, Serpentine Dam, and Lake, Nangara." He pretty much believes that the Yowie are so fast uh, and like to hide in the bushes that because of those two factors, we never ever see them. And the part that we are, from the title, essentially, he also believes that a lot of the encounters that people have with these Yowies actually end up pretty south, uh, in which the Yowies tend to eat the person. He believes that there are a lot of missing person cases and unresolved disappearances of that area that have to, be blamed on a Yowie or several Yowie attacks that resulted in the individual being essentially eaten and then never found again. Now, he's not saying this for, every disappearing person in the national parks. He agrees that more likely than not, some of them are accidents and homicides, but Heel is pretty confident in saying that the Yowie are pretty much to blame for a good portion of the disappearances that are going on there. And to be fair, like, people here in the U.S. think the exact same thing when it comes to the Bigfoot and, like, missing 411 cases. It's definitely one of the explanations that people try to throw out there with not really too much evidence to support it, but it's fun to think about, I suppose. And that's, the story from Australia. It's nothing too crazy. It's nothing too massive. It's just something that I stumbled across and I was like, what the heck is this? Unfortunately, the article was not as in-depth as I would have liked it to have been, but it was still interesting to read through. And our second story, again, comes here from the U.S., and we are talking Tennessee, good old Tennessee, and this article is titled Unknown Phenomena Reported in Tennessee. Very straightforward. Thank you, Newsweek.com, which, let me double check this real quick. I'm pretty sure Newsweek is like that crazy website. Let me see. Is Newsweek the crazy website? I actually don't know. There's a good chance Newsweek is like crazy in a weird way. My old boss used to send me articles, and I'm pretty sure it was from Newsweek, and he was a Q follower. Okay, so into the article. Authorities in Tennessee were left scratching their heads this week after a report of a mysterious explosion. The alarm was raised on Saturday evening when a number of local residents called into the Clarksville Police Department's 911 dispatch center to report hearing a loud and, quote, unidentified explosion across many parts of Montgomery County. The force of the blast was so great that several people in the area reported feeling the ground itself shake, almost as if there was an earthquake occurring. Now, you would think that this would continue on. We would figure out some information about what's going on. Maybe this was a chemical explosion. Maybe there was an incident at, like, I don't know, a refinery or some, like, fertilizer plant that, if you have not seen footage of, sometimes explode, and it is massive. However, in this case, it is a mystery. Both the Clarksville Fire Department and the Montgomery County Sheriff's Office have not been able to determine what or where this explosion actually took place. Like, we have no idea what the heck happened. This article was posted, I believe, on the 10th or 11th of September, so just a few days ago. But to this day, from what I can understand, we don't really know what, or at least at the time of recording this, we don't know what caused this explosion, what was this explosion, and where it actually took place specifically. To further add to the mystery of what the heck's going on, there are actually no reports of, property damage or physical damage, and no one was actually injured in the area. Investigations are still currently ongoing at this moment. But like I said, like, we do not know what this was, even though people were reporting a massive explosion that literally rocked the earth. It was just a random thing. Like, you can't find it. Like, I don't know what it is. I'm sure there's an explanation. I know, like, there's earthquakes, maybe that had to do, but there's not really a fault line from what I can understand in that area. There's technically a very small one in Virginia, but, Virginia would have felt something, not middle of nowhere Tennessee. And I guess maybe like a skyquake, I don't know, like some sonic thing, or maybe an asteroid that exploded. But like, we would have had reports of a lot of these things, and we would have had some sort of evidence to back up a lot of them as well. So I genuinely do not know what caused this. I'm definitely gonna keep my ear to the ground when it comes to trying to figure out what the heck's going on with this particular story. So if I do find anything, I will, post either an update or add on to this one to figure out what is going on. Because if that sort of stuff could just happen, that's kind of alarming. But until then, I think that's it for this story. And overall, that's it for this Weird of the Week. Those are the two stories I came across that I thought were interesting. There were others, but after reading through them, I was just like, this isn't really, like, there's nothing really here to actually talk about. There's nothing, like, of substance like, at all. It's definitely weird that bizarre stories can be intriguing. Their titles are definitely good for newspapers and media stuff to cover, but the articles themselves have no real juice to them, which is unfortunate because they are fun to talk about, and they are fun to discuss and speculate, but if there's no substance at all to them, like, nothing's going to come of it. Nothing's going to come or do anything. But those are the two that I came across that I wanted to talk to you guys about. I hope you guys did enjoy the Weird of the Week segment, and I want to say thank you for the continued support here on Patreon. I hope you guys are enjoying these bonus episodes and bonus content that I'm trying to build up here. And it means a lot that you guys are helping me out. But until then, I hope to see you guys next week as we discuss other weird stories in another Weird of the Week.